Welcome to the Radiate Wellness Podcast. I'm your host, Christy Clemens Hoffman. Each week we will discuss tools, tips, and ways to radiate your best life ever, interviewing practitioners, authors, and luminaries to help you on your path. Wellness, joy, peace, abundance. What do you want to radiate? Today, we are going to be radiating 30 years of privilege and horror with Shelley Staib. I tentatively was calling this radiating humor, but I like 30 years of privilege and horror. So my guest today is Shelley Staib, and Shelley had a very long and illustrious career installing phone lines. Yes. And has the stories to tell about it. So these stories will be in a new book called I've Got a Pole You Can Climb, Tales of a Telephone Technician. And this book is co-written with Christopher Gulick. Good. Thank you. And as of the time when this podcast will be available, it should be out, but we'll talk about how to get it later. But Shelley, thank you so much for sitting to talk with me. You are just hilarious.
Thank you for having me.
Certainly, I'm happy to. Yeah, we had coffee the other day, and you were just so funny. I loved your stories. So you were a telephone technician.
Yes, I was actually one of the first women in the state of Kansas to be an outside technician.
Yeah.
Only white males were doing that at that point, and women and people of color were just not in that job. And when it became available through a lawsuit, actually.
Really?
Yes. It opened that up, and I had just graduated from high school, had no idea really what I wanted to do. One of my uncles did work for the company and suggested, hey, why don't you go down there?
Sure.
And I did, and I'm sure he helped me get hired on. But you had to pass pole climbing school, first of all. If you couldn't climb a pole, really, there was no point to go on. So,
absolutely.
So there were several pieces of training we had to go through in order just to be able to say, yeah, now we're going to train you to do the job.
Right.
So for me, that was in 1975, and I was 18. A lot of what I talk about in the book, just from my perspective, and my partner, Chris Gulick, has his own unique perspective. So it's two, we think, very unique voices. But as a woman, doing this job and being kind of a pioneer in that, and people's responses to me, to women and to me, just my experience.
Right.
A lot of that is what some of my stories are about. Just the acceptance and some of the resistance.
Sure.
Some from women, which really, I had a naive expectation that there was going to be this sisterhood of acceptance, and that wasn't necessarily so.
That surprises me too.
Yeah.
And now you were good. Just to clarify, you were going house to house. You were going to people's homes
and businesses. Yes.
And businesses, right?
Yes.
Right. And this is the tentative title for this podcast is 30 Years of Privilege and Horror. Tell us what that's about.
Well, when we were talking about that, when we had coffee, I was just referring to the spectrum of the way people live. Not in a judgmental way. Of course, we were making judgments, but in an observation way. And that's what I love about Chris and I. I think we have a keen sense of observation. And to be able to go into homes, really, some of them were just abject poverty.
Oh,
One of the stories I have, this woman had all dirt floors in her house that she was living in.
Still?
Absolutely. And then I've been in homes in some of the wealthier areas of this city and in Wichita.
Yeah.
And the people that live there are not so very different.
Sure.
But they're fascinating stories, because being in someone's home, you just see them in a way, that a lot is revealed about us. We reveal a lot about ourselves to people without knowing it.
Right.
And I think that's what I love about our book is like those things that we see and talk about that are funny, weird, a little frightening, a little strange, touching.
Yeah.
Right. So,
because you're seeing people in their home, in their element.
Yes.
Comfortable. They probably see you like something of the furniture. You're
Pretty
just kind
much.
of just a functionary object in their lives.
Right.
Right? They're letting
Right.
their guard down.
Very much.
Right.
Very much. They're almost too comfortable sometimes. There's one or two chapters about that stuff, and
Yeah.
or they're letting their guard down, or they don't care.
Right.
You're in my house.
Yeah, I'm going to act how I want to act.
Yeah, and you just need to deal with it. And
Oh my gosh.
if you're uncomfortable with the loaded gun on my nightstand, too bad. Stuff like that. We just like, okay, let's try to work out a compromise here.
Right.
Just so I don't have to kneel down next to a loaded weapon. I mean,
that makes you uncomfortable.
Yeah. So
exactly.
Just stuff like that maybe you don't think about when you think about, hey, a telephone installer's coming out.
You don't, right?
You don't. So
not everybody.
So
I'm thinking somebody comes to my house. Maybe I want to put a few things away.
People think, I want to clean behind the couch because they're going to move the couch, and I haven't, vacuumed under there
Right.
for 3 months. And yes, but then you don't think about the porn that you had under the bed. That isn't yours. That's not mine. Okay.
I don't know who left that there.
What? So
Right.
just just stuff like that.
In the toys, yeah.
All
Right.
sorts of all the stuff that we, hide away, so someone won't see, and
Right.
and then so that's just part of it, or, or oh my gosh,
illegal things.
Huh?
Or legal things.
Oh, legal things?
Illegal.
Oh, illegal. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Sure. Various types of entertainment and drugs and
Yeah, nice.
yeah.
That happens. Yeah, you're coming into their home. They're comfortable there. They don't even think much
They're not
about
thinking
it.
about it, even though,
No.
as like we were talking, you called us 2 weeks ago.
You set
You've
the
had some time.
appointment.
Yeah, you knew we were coming. So, anyway, but it's like you said, it's just, and that's another thing, for so long, I mean, it's pretty amazing. You show up at somebody's house, you have access to places nobody else does, and
Absolutely.
in businesses, and so you're allowed to kind of roam. Not that we're, roaming without
Right.
a purpose.
Exactly.
But yeah, you're seeing things nobody else is going to see, and things you don't think about, and people also. I love this when they would open up to us because you just happen to be there, and I'm going to take a drink of water. So you happen to be there, and maybe this person is, hasn't talked to somebody else.
That's just
Older
it.
people, especially.
Yeah.
And so I heard stories from,
Oh, I'll bet.
war veterans sometimes, or
Sure.
people who lived, 2 generations ago. And this was, a generation ago when I was young.
Sure.
And they're fascinating. They're fascinating
fascinating.
stories. So it's just the human, that human interest element that.
Mm-hmm. So
That's
you
there.
really do get to have the privilege of speaking to them,
Yes.
and then the horror of
of speaking to them,
yeah,
or seeing how they live, or
yeah, absolutely. So I bet you have some wonderful stories.
I think we do. I'm proud of the book. I've never written a book. I've probably read my own book, 1,100 times now, and I'm very proud of what we've written. I think it's good.
Yeah. Well, and you said that you wrote it because you were tired of people saying you were making it up.
Well, that is part of it. I mean, because we say we can't. You could not make this stuff up.
You
And
can't make it up.
You wouldn't. I wouldn't try to make some of this up because
Right.
it sounds outrageous.
Absolutely.
You know, and so the fact that it all happened, truly, there's nothing in this book that did not actually happen, is kind of crazy. So,
Exactly. And it runs the gamut.
Yes.
Everything in between, right?
Everything.
Yeah. And so people were telling you, oh, no, you're making
yeah,
that up.
that couldn't, come on.
There's no way.
You
Right.
know, and you're like, yeah, I know. I wish I hadn't seen this. You know, I wish you can't unring that bell sometimes. You know, there are things.
Exactly.
And we talk about some of those. And there are some things that still bring me to tears.
Really?
Because
Just so touching. So
because
moving?
like something. I mean, look, I'm much older than I was when I started with the phone company, and
Very diplomatic, yeah.
thank you. And I remember things that were said to me,
Right.
40 years ago by somebody because it made that kind of an impression on me.
Absolutely.
I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Uh,
Some things you wouldn't remember. It was just so banal.
Right.
And some things are so memorable
yes.
that they stay with you.
Yeah.
That's-
Absolutely.
that's
And that's
wonderful.
what these are about. These
Yeah.
are just little anecdotes. I don't think the longest story is maybe, 2 or 3 pages, maybe.
Right.
And it's, so it's very, it's very quick.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I feel like there's such a gamut of different subjects that there's a little bit of something for everybody, I think.
Right.
And, we talk about, you and I remember landlines and,
oh, heck yeah.
I mean, you remember
That's fascinating.
Right,
Yeah, right.
like a dial phone.
Oh, yeah. The rotary dial.
The rotary dial.
Yeah, and then when we got push buttons, that was, what?
Oh.
How do you do this?
Just revelations. I mean, we had to change out every phone in America when that happened.
Oh, my God.
I mean,
From the rotary to push button, you had to change them all up.
Yeah.
Does it require a different line?
Not into the house, just a different phone.
Yeah, you had to switch
Just
them
a
all
different
out.
phone.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
I
That's
mean,
high tech.
Stuff like that.
Right.
Or how about every time the payphone went up in price?
Oh,
A
real?
technician had to go out to every single payphone in the country,
Oh,
and I did
my
that for a while
God.
too, and do our little magic inside on the. There were a series of, anyway, to make it 15 cents, then 20, then 25 cents, and I don't even know what it is right now.
Are there even payphones?
I think there are,
I think
but
maybe, but
I don't
yeah.
know.
I don't
Last
know.
time I remember, I think it was 50 cents. Does that sound right?
That sounds about right. Maybe
But,
now
you
they
know,
take a card or something. I
right.
don't know.
Yeah.
But who thinks of that? That you have to go and actually manually change all the payphones,
Yeah.
right? And you did that.
That's what
that
we
was
did.
your job. Wow. For 30 years. That is a long time for any job.
It is. It is.
Much less for one that's so physical.
Well, yeah, and I know a lot of people. I'm thinking a lot of people are going, well, the guys didn't have a problem with it, and but it was physical, and I'm grateful.
Absolutely.
It was physically demanding. The weather, climbing poles, carrying ladders.
Absolutely.
But it was also, I had a lot of fun. It was also interesting. No day was the same. I will tell you, in 30 years, really, I could probably count on 2 hands and have some fingers left over the times I did not want to go into work. I was very fortunate. And I also want to say just really quickly, I was paid the same as men.
That is amazing.
In 1975, and
that is amazing.
I give credit to the Communications Workers of America, the union,
Right.
the company.
Yeah.
I give credit to the women who came before me.
Yeah.
And I just want to say this. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who argued for equal pay in front of the Supreme Court before she became a justice, thank you.
RBG.
All of that was in place.
Yeah.
So I could come in there as an 18-year-old kid and make a living,
Yeah.
a good living wage, And that's just, I mean, I'm so grateful for that.
Absolutely.
So,
you are so blessed.
yes. And
Completely.
very fortunate. And I didn't know that for a long time, you know. But once I realized it, became aware,
Hey,
you know, it's huge.
Right,
it's
that's huge.
So,
now, do they even have the pole climbers, the technicians anymore? Is that even a thing?
you know, we do still have some techs. Installers, I don't know how much, you know, I just can't
I have
imagine
no idea,
it's anything like
right.
it used to be. But
Right.
my partner might have more answers on that just because he's more in touch with some of the current stuff that's going on.
Is he still doing that job?
No, he's retired. He's retired also.
So both of you have retired.
Yes.
And because it would be hard to tell these stories, I think, if you were still an employee.
That's kind of what we were thinking. Just let's get a little distance there. Yeah, so we're both retired, and
yeah. And then you formed an LLC.
we formed our own publishing company.
That's awesome.
Hard Short Press. Hard Short is a repair term. It is a type of trouble we use to describe, you know, what is causing the trouble on a phone line.
Right.
So
it's a hard short.
It's a hard short.
Okay,
it's when both sides of the line are crossed.
Yeah.
And if it's a hard short, I mean, there's just different degrees of it. But it's an inside kind of, you know.
But it's funny that it refers to a problem.
Yes. Hard short press. But I don't know. We like the sound of it. And yeah. So
you formed your own company just for that reason. And I can imagine if there are people who may appear in the book unknowingly, unwittingly, that could, you know, be a problem too. But you've taken steps for that.
Yeah, we don't name anybody, and I don't think we poke. Let me say this: we poke more fun at ourselves than anybody else. We like to poke fun at ourselves before other people can. That's kind of the
get your shots in.
Yeah, just let me get that covered, and so we do that, and I think we're pretty good about.
Because you don't want to cause any problems for anybody, and that's not the point.
It's really just telling a story, and we don't want to cause problems or insult anybody or cause any harm or anything like that.
They're just stories.
They're just stories and about what happened, and but we also recognize that you know, I'm willing to be embarrassed for my book, and I probably will be, but I also hope to be, you know. I hope it's appreciated at the level we like, but we don't want to cause embarrassment or pain or harm for anybody. But you know, y'all are very part of the story. You're most of the reason we write in this book is because of the amazing, interesting things that happen that we just we wouldn't have this book.
No, you wouldn't. No,
we wouldn't have a book without your participation, willing or unwilling, or knowingly or unknowingly. Just being who you are, you know, and letting us in your houses and businesses and sharing your lives with us, you know?
Absolutely. I think that's a big testament to just the nature of humans.
Yeah.
That, you know, how we treat people in our homes.
That's interesting.
And how we connect with people who come into our homes. Yeah. I mean, it's a fascinating study in human nature.
I don't know that, I mean, we don't know that anybody's ever really talked about it from our point of view.
No,
you know,
I don't
just saying,
think so.
Hey, have you ever thought about like what it's like for us walking into your house? And of course, I'm super conscious of it whenever I have somebody come out, but I also talk their asses off. You know, I'm just always asking them questions, and because I'm very curious. I think that's the other thing. But we also, I know people have been very curious about us too.
Sure.
And asking us a lot of questions, like when we were on the job and being a woman, and like, you know, what's this like for you?
Is it hard work?
Is it hard work? Do people take you seriously?
How does it feel going to people's homes?
Do you feel bad about taking a job away from a man with a family to feed?
Seriously? People asked you that?
Men and women.
Oh, my.
You know, now this is the 70s.
Okay.
You know, this is during certainly when we kind of were new to the workforce.
Yeah, we've come a long way, baby.
Well, we have, and we still have a ways to go. But,
heck yeah.
But yeah, it was just
interesting.
Like I said, just interesting responses.
Sure.
To something that, like, for me, and I don't think that I thought about my gender that much. It was, which is I think why I was taken aback by especially women, because I just kind of, I think I came up in that generation where, you know, the feminism, I mean, it had been going on. It was evolving as I was coming up as a young woman. And so I think some of this stuff, you know, I just kind of took to heart, like, yeah, I should be able to do anything. And my mom, I remember saying, you can do anything. You don't have to get married and have kids. You know, and I remember being like, okay, that's like, it was a relief. Like, I don't know, my world opened up a little bit. So,
yeah, that's interesting.
You know, so I never went in there with, like, I'm blazing a trail. I never had that. It was more like, holy shit, what do you mean this is being a woman is a deal? Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it sure does. You take that for granted. And I know my daughter, I've got a almost 12-year-old daughter, and she's coming up in a time when we do kind of take those things for granted, that she could do anything. She could be a linebacker if she wants to.
That is progress.
That is huge progress. We've still got a ways to go.
Right.
Right? But I can imagine in the 70s that, you've got this kind of, and you were young and optimistic and idealistic.
And naive and absolutely all that, you know?
Right, absolutely.
And I didn't know what I was getting into.
Oh, hell
which is kind of a theme for my life, but that's okay, you know? And I'm glad for that, because...
if you had known going into it, you might not have done it.
I mean, who knows? Who knows? I just said yes and ended up loving it. And I also want to say, speaking of that, I had support. The younger guys that I worked with the phone company, and several of them were Vietnam vets, were so supportive. Like, they didn't, I don't think they even blinked twice, really. Some of the older guys... I mean, I remember a couple of them still were, had the DuckTales with the...
Oh, the grease, the Brill cream.
Yeah. And, like, you could bounce a quarter off those guys' heads, right? And so those guys, I remember...
They might have had a hard time.
It was not pleasant. But I just want to say, several of the younger guys that I worked with for many years were absolutely wonderful. And
They're supportive.
And they were,
didn't blink.
And just gave us all, I think, a fair shake, and let us either prove or disprove ourselves. So
absolutely. Were there women who failed?
There were a lot of women that failed, that did not make it through school, make it through pole climbing, really, or then you had to go through an electrical training course after that. So those two, if you got through those, you pretty much had the job. What I also found, and I'm just going to say this, is probably even the women that worked with me are going, I was harder on them than the men. Anyone coming behind me, a woman, you know.
If they were, I can understand that.
I wanted them to not ride on my coattails, but also don't not do your job, and don't ask for help if you don't need it. You know what I'm saying? Do the job we hired you to do,
because if they were to fall, if they were to fail, not do their job well, it's going to reflect poorly on you.
If you just, I mean, I'm saying just do your best, and
do
don't.
Your best.
You know, I mean, look, I'll just be direct. It bothered me when some women played that card. You know. I mean, you're playing the card against what we are trying to accomplish here.
Yeah.
You know, and by playing the weaker sex.
Yeah.
That's what they were doing, and that was offensive to me, because we are not that.
No, we are not that.
Yeah. So that And yeah.
Yeah. So you might not have realized what was going on going into it, but it sounds like you kind of quickly realized that, wait a minute, this is trailblazing.
It is like it. I realized that it was something, bigger than me.
Yeah.
Recognizing that there's, whether I knew it or not, I think at some point I accepted that, in a way, I'm kind of representing.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. At least those of us who wanted what I wanted, which was, I wanted financial independence, and I wanted to be paid. I enjoyed being paid the same as men, and being given that opportunity to show what I could do.
Absolutely. You didn't want to have to limit your options to working in an office or being a teacher.
I'm telling you, the world, Kirsty,
I know.
The world's a safer place for me not working in an office.
Or being a teacher, I'm finding out. Yeah.
Maybe. It was a good thing I was in just a truck, driving around.
By herself.
It was dangerous enough for people on the road. But, it suited me. It was a very, I never was in an office, but for 20 minutes in the morning, we got our assignments and chatted.
18 years old, you were independent, you drove out, you took your list of jobs, you were gone all day.
Came back whenever they said.
Nobody checked on you? Yeah.
I mean, we were monitored, but it was not.
But you had nobody breathing down your neck.
Exactly.
You didn't have to punch a clock necessarily.
No.
Account for every minute of your day.
Not well. They did later when we got computers. They could do that,
sure.
but pretty much, it was very much a lot of trust in that job, because you are in a job, you are in a truck. You're mobile, and so
it's amazing. You give someone trust, and they're going to rise to meet it.
That's yes.
Yeah.
I think most times, absolutely. Most of us.
Yeah, most of us, right?
Yeah, most of us.
I can't imagine being 18, 19 years old and having that level of freedom.
Well,
right?
And at first it was, of course, look, I was terrified.
Sure.
Look, I remember the first time I wired a party line. I'm dating myself.
Oh my
party
God,
lines,
party
right?
line, yes. My grandmother had one.
Like 2, 4, 8 people.
Yes,
up to 8 people
shared
on
a phone number, yes.
And so you had to wire each phone in every house was wired a specific way, because you had a specific ring that you had to listen for. It was your ring.
Yeah.
And, it took me, the first party line phone I rewired, I don't know, I was there for 4 hours, and I could not get it wired right. And, of course, I wasn't going to ask for help. And, anyway, when I finally did, it was the simplest little thing. Every technician that's watching, I left the ground off. I was going to go, So, but, it was just, I was terrified, I was stubborn, I was too proud. I didn't even have a year's service in yet.
Yeah,
and
you were
so, my customers like, I have to.
Yeah, you were supposed to be here 2 hours. What's the what?
So anyway, just stuff like that, it was humbling. Too. I did learn some humility on the job. So.
Maybe you missed your calling to be a psychologist.
Maybe.
You seem to have a very keen understanding and appreciation for human nature.
I do now.
Yeah, you do now.
I seem really right. We seem wise when
right?
we get up, when we get more experienced.
Right.
And I feel like it's been a blessing and a gift, and
absolutely.
It's
privilege and horror.
It really has been a privilege and a horror. It's been a great privilege, and I hope this book will give us a chance to relive it in a different way and share it with people.
Absolutely. Well, let's get back to the book. So
yes.
The title is "I've Got a Pole You Can Climb."
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
That is a direct quote from a customer of mine. It is the title of the book and the title of a story of mine. It's something a guy said to me. Can I go ahead
Nice.
and
Please.
give a plug?
Absolutely.
Our website is I'veGotAPole.com, and we actually give that story away on the website.
Nice.
So I would love for people to go on that and just check it out. This guy,
I'veGotAPole.com. Go read that story. So
you
this
read
guy,
that story,
yeah.
and you'll learn a little bit more about Chris and I on there.
Right.
And
So a customer actually said that to you. That's fun. Jeez,
at about
nice.
at about I don't know, it's about 8 a.m. He's an aircraft worker, and he had just gotten off work.
Yeah.
So he'd already had a few beers.
Right.
At
he
8
was
in the morning.
rewinding.
So
You don't. Yeah.
Yeah. So here we go.
He was unwinding. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was.
So
nice.
Please read the story to find out how that turned out for both of us.
Exactly.
So that's the book.
So the title sets it up to maybe be a humor book, but it's not all humor, is it?
It's not all humor. It's a lot of humor, but it's also some bizarre stuff, some disturbing stuff, some sad stuff, but also touching stuff like, that
touches your heart.
That touches your heart. So I think we have a little bit of everything there. We have many stories just on animals, pets.
Oh, fun.
That people had that we wish they hadn't had. I told you at coffee the other day, we have several stories on what people wear or don't wear.
That is why I want to read this book.
When they answer the door.
Right?
So,
yeah.
So
what they wear and don't wear.
Yeah,
Interesting.
You'd
be surprised, huh?
Yeah. It's interesting. So stuff like that. It's just all the different ways, people kind of show up.
Exactly. How do we show up in the world?
How do we show up and where?
Yeah.
And why? Why did you?
What were you thinking?
What were you thinking? Yeah, that's.
How did you think that was going to go? Yeah, so you've got this writing partner, Chris, and he was also in the field, and that's how you met.
Yes.
And so, how did this conversation come about? It's like, we ought to write a book. No, seriously, we ought to write a book.
Well, it did start like that. When, of course, we've always talked about these stories to our families and friends for years, and they've been very patient with us. And and of course. Half the time they're looking at us going, no.
There's no way.
That did not.
No,
You're kidding me. And so after many years of this, we started talking about this probably, I don't know, before I retired. And I've been retired, 12, 13 years. So we've talked about it for, let's say, 15 to 20 years. And we did kind of always thought it would be after we both retired.
Right.
And I have to give Chris credit for keeping this fire lit. It's always been a conversation, but he's kind of always, always reminded me, this is happening. And so when he retired and I had been working other jobs. Anyway, I left the last job I was at and wrote for about 1.5 years, 2 years. He did too. And we just, we thought we had some good stories, and we knew we wanted to self-publish. Part of it, really, Chris, is just, to have written a book.
Right.
I mean,
that accomplishment.
This is something we've talked about. I've talked about writing since I was very young. I just didn't know what, and this has been absolutely perfect. It's because we're just telling about what happened, and when we started talking like you and I are, just about, it's not about telephones, it's not about technology. No. It is, that's like the framework of it,
right?
But it's everything that happens around.
Exactly.
Around us performing a service.
It is. It is.
And
I mean, that was just the excuse.
Pretty much,
that was just the setup.
Yeah, like there's all this other stuff going on that we have the privilege of seeing.
Absolutely.
And it's interesting. I mean, nobody ever said, "Hey, I don't want to hear your phone stories anymore." They're like, I mean, you get home at the end of the day, it's like, so what happened today?
Yeah, did you get any better stories,
right.
any new stories?
Or why do you smell like that?
Exactly.
What's on your shoe? You need to go back outside.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So
right.
So yeah, we just knew. Look, we were still interested in it,
right?
After
absolutely.
all these years. So I think we knew if we didn't get tired of it, that maybe we were kind of onto something.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, you're onto something. And I just wonder how much of that is like, all these stories are in me. I have to talk about them too.
Of course, a lot of it was debriefing. A lot of these were, in the crew room at 7:00 at night. You're going,
would you believe?
Yeah, or let me tell you what happened in case you have to go back out there,
Right.
A lot of it was just debriefing and let everybody on the crew know what was happening, and because there really is it's a fellowship.
It is. Yeah, it's commiseration. It's sharing war stories.
Pretty much. Yeah, and I know that's like. I mean, I know you can do that in your in what you do.
Everybody has a story of work and what happens, but it seems like this profession you were in just kicks it up a notch.
I just think the perspective and just this little inside point of view that we have that we hope is entertaining enough and just stuff you haven't maybe thought about. That's kind of
exactly.
It's just stuff you don't think about when you call up.
Right.
Have an electrician or a plumber or a cable guy or a
whoever's
telephone
coming
person
over. Yeah, there could be books from plumbers, from electricians, from contractors.
Yeah.
We all have these stories from energy workers and from psychics.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I could write a book. So when you and Chris decided you were really going to actually do this, what is the process of sitting down and taking all of these stories and going, how are we going to make sense out of this? How did you guys I can't even imagine doing that myself, much less with a partner.
Thank you, yes. And oh
right?
my gosh. First of all, you said there was a process. Actually sounds like we had an idea what we were going to do. And, we first we just started writing, and that was the most fun for me. I enjoy it so much. It was incredible. I'm so grateful I just did that for myself. Sat down and actually wrote with this intention. Mm-hmm. So there's that, and then we did get some help from a guy down in Wichita who is an author who is he's also credited in our book.
Good. Awesome.
Who helped us with the story selection. We probably had over 100 stories between the two of us.
Oh yeah.
And then this gentleman helped us. He selected the stories, and we've got. I can't tell you how many stories. This is embarrassing.
50-ish. Yeah, in the book.
50-ish in the book. And we just kind of had some categories that that the pets, what people wear, just certain little instances that we kind of had some bulk stories about, and then we just picked the best ones. We knew we wanted to self-publish because we want to have complete control.
Sure.
So that was given. And really, truly, Christy, everything else has been a learn-as-you-go learning curve with the help of our family and friends and people who have just been awesome, just giving us advice and introducing us to people who can help us, it's very much just been a network of family and friends who've been very excited about this project with us. And so, we have a website, as I mentioned before, and
you have somebody helping you with that?
Yes. A great friend of mine who's a website designer. She's an entrepreneur who's been tremendously helpful. Our friend Sarah, who's a family member also, who's helping us with the publishing piece.
Oh, that's awesome.
My nephew, Matthew did the cover art
The cover is brilliant.
for the book, which
It's
is
brilliant. It looks like penny detective novel.
It's yes, we were going for the graphic novel look.
That is
and
brilliant.
So I'm so proud of this, and I'm so proud of him.
It
and
is awesome.
We've got an artist in Wichita, Graham Jarvis, I believe that's his name. He's in the book. He does all the inside illustrations.
There's illustrations?
Yes.
Oh,
so
that's
we're very
fun.
we've just had
You're so blessed.
like the right people at the right time.
And tell us who took your author photo. I love that story.
This is I'm in love with two of my neighbors. They are 5 and 6, Zay and Adler. And Adler hung out with me all last summer.
Yeah.
And during one of those days, he took 171 pictures of me with my iPad. And the picture in the book, it's not actually in the book, it's on the website.
It's on the website. That's where I saw it.
I think we'll have a different photo for the book, but the picture in the website that you see is when I realized what he was doing. And so it's a very candid picture of me just looking at Adler.
And I tell you what, it is
love with him.
It is the classic author photo.
Well,
he has a career ahead of him.
He may. I think he's got a career doing something. Adler, but so he just that's a 5-year-old.
Isn't that amazing?
He might have been 4 at that time. I'll have to find out. Yeah.
Yeah, that's hilarious. It's a great photo. And then you guys, you and Chris just had a photo shoot to do.
We did. We just did a little impromptu photo shoot. We actually met in Emporia and just did Chris's wife took some pictures, and they turned out really well. I'm excited. We don't know what we're going to use yet, but we did that.
Yeah.
Like I said, we're kind of putting the final touches on it, and
this is so exciting.
It's so exciting, Christy.
I tell you.
And it's
it's a labor of love, isn't it?
It is a labor of love.
It's like pushing your baby out in the world.
Mm-hmm. It is. I'm ready to be done with it. I don't have kids. Everyone has had a baby. Oh my God, I can't even imagine what you've. This is insane to me. I mean,
right.
And can I say to Chris, thank you for your patience and for the last 40 years and for your patience, because really. Chris is married. He's been married. I have never been married. The fact that I had to run decisions by him blew my mind. It's been a great learning curve, and I've learned a lot about myself in this process. And
I'll bet.
As soon as this is published, Chris and I are getting divorced, and we're just going to be friends again instead of
co-authors.
Being married.
So there's
to this book.
I've got another pole you can climb.
Well, you know what? There may be. We have stories. We still have stories.
You still have stories. They probably didn't all make it.
And we would love to continue to tell them. I hope people would like to hear some more. I would love to do that.
That'd be so fun.
Yes, I hope so. I'm just so thrilled this is coming out, and I dream of amazing things happening, and then I want to keep my expectations realistic. So
you're doing a podcast. What else are you doing for publicity?
Well, we're gonna have a book launch party. But again, I can't give you a date yet.
Right.
We're doing the social media marketing.
Yeah, you got on Facebook, for
Instagram.
This. Yeah.
What else? I am learning LinkedIn. Really, it's going to be a lot of word of mouth.
Yeah.
We've talked to some independent book sellers in Wichita.
Fantastic.
And up here that we hope. We don't have a commitment yet, but once we have our book, we're certainly going to go talk to them. We hope to have our book on some local author shelves in some independent bookstores. So we'll certainly we could put that on the website if we get that, and on all the social media. We're very new at this. We're the whole marketing piece. We're figuring it out as we go, and we have a lot of good people helping us. So.
Yeah, that's where having a partner can really help, because they can help you think of things and just keep the momentum going. So that's wonderful. Can't wait to meet Chris.
I would love for you to meet him. And he is also an amazing artist in his own right. So he has done some of this before. He has put himself out there in many ways.
Good.
So yeah.
Oh, that
So
helps.
so he's talented in so many ways. So I hope that we have a lot of we have a lot of help.
Yeah.
And a lot of enthusiasm and a lot of people who are really, just love us and want us to be successful. So
well, and it sounds like a really great book.
Thank you.
To want to, if people want to help out with that, bring this book into the world.
Yeah.
So let's talk about how people can get the book.
Okay.
So it'll be available sometime in October.
Yes.
Right? 2018.
2018. You can go to our website and you can purchase it there.
Can you pre-order it?
You can pre-order it.
Good.
I can tell on myself, as of today, we still haven't fixed the price on it. So, by the time this is aired, we will have that done. That's one of those things we'll just, the finishing touches. So,
so much goes into it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so you'll be able to buy it and pre-order it on the website. At the book launch, we'll actually have printed copies.
Perfect.
Of course, we hope to be doing some readings and book signings. I would love that.
That would be wonderful.
So that's what I know right now. Digital and print copies. We would love to do audio at some point because I hear that is
audiobooks.
We understand that is like the majority of the market, so we do want to address that.
Wonderful. Coming from you telling your own stories, that would be amazing.
Yes, we don't know if we're going to do it in our own voices yet. There's just lots of stuff we're thinking about.
Oh. Wow.
I don't know. Like I said, this is all new stuff.
You know what I love about that is that you don't have any limitations. Because you don't know what your limitations are.
Yeah, we don't. Right? And also, here's the thing. We're both okay with saying, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I need some help. And we're open to, let's see where this unfolds and takes us.
Absolutely.
Because we'd like it to reach as many people as possible. And, in whatever shape that takes.
Gosh, if you can inspire a contractor to write their own stories, or a plumber to write their own stories, I'm sure there's tons of them out there. We all have them.
Absolutely. I don't know who said it once, but somebody said everybody has at least one book in them. Have you heard that?
No, I haven't, but I think that's brilliant. That is brilliant.
I agree with that. I mean, if you're paying attention.
If you're paying attention.
I think you have a book in you,
Absolutely.
And, there's a lot to pay attention to, so.
Yeah. So that's inspiring.
I think
that is very inspiring. So the book is I've Got a Pole You Can Climb, written by Shelley Staib and Chris Gulick.
Yes.
Super. Available on Amazon and wherever books are sold. And thank you so much for being on today. It is so fun.
Thank you, Chrissy.
Talking about this project.
For having me and letting me talk about it and for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
Well, certainly. Happy to. All right.
All right.
Radiate Wellness is a community of holistic and alternative healers and consultants based in the Kansas City area, dedicated to helping you create spiritual, energetic, and physical well-being. To learn more about our practitioners, services, classes, and events, or to schedule an appointment, visit us at radiatewellnesscommunity.com.